So, Chaya, Hinda, Alan, take it away.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Leah. It's really wonderful to be, I don't know, together, on this morning where we're doing something interesting again, and to talk about Achdus. And so I really do want to celebrate you two ladies who are doing so much for Achdus. And it's a tremendous schus to be together with you. And Jewish women are actually Achdus already. We're already Achdus. I think Jewish women understand in a very deep way what Achdus means. And so when we talk about it, we're just bringing out what we all have within us already. It's not something new. It's something that we all have. You can feel the achdus when when we get together at this particular point. If we can get together and everybody's like, okay, where you're up to? What have you done? Leah says, have you got any cookies still in the house? And we're all trying to figure out. Okay, so where are we holding when it comes to Pesach? What are you doing? Where are you up to? And we have a need to know that we're all basically in the same boat. We're all doing this together. We're not the only one who has kids who are either listening or not listening, or helping or not helping, or playing their music too loud, or hanging out with their friends, or whatever it is. We have a need to know that we are the same as everybody else, because we are so the same. We're going through the same things. But then we also have a need to know that we're different. My son-in-law, he went on a trip to the Makomis HaKadoshim in Europe, and before they left, the organizers had taken with them from Eretz Yisrael. They'd taken with them, a big tray of barekas and a big tray of ragalach, and basically that's what they ate for the next 2 days or 3 days. And at a certain point, they're like, we cannot see another ragalach, we cannot see another bareka, because apart, as much as we need things to be the same, we need things to be different. And so the truth is that other Yidden, other Jews, do exactly for us what we need. We need to be the same, and we also need to be different. And so the exact blend of being different and being the same is exactly what we need to find in the people around us. We want to find people who are the same, but we also want to find people who are different. And so how do we negotiate this difference? So the Heilige Kotzka gives us a piece of very pithy, clever advice in how to deal with this difference. And he says, if I am I because you're you, and you are you because I am I, then I'm not I, and you are not you. If I try and make you into me, if I try and make you or coerce you or try and do anything so that you'll be who I want you to be, then I'm disfiguring you in some way. I'm taking away your essence, and I'm taking away your right to be who you are. I'm interfering with that. And if you try and coerce me or try and make me into being who you want me to be, then you're taking away the Tselem Elokim from me. You're taking away my godly image, who I'm supposed to be. And so when we interact with this sameness and with this difference of other people, we have to do this in such a way that we appreciate the beauty of what somebody else is, so that we know that we're approaching something very holy. Because the Ari says that from the beginning of time until the end of history, nobody can fulfill the mission that another person came into this world to fulfill. So what that means is that every single person that we see, especially we're talking about Yidden, we're talking about Jews, every single Jew has a very special mission. They're each a part of what the whole of Klal Yisrael needs to fulfill. And no one can do what another person has come into this world to do. We may say, yeah, but look, you look where he's at. So where he's at is exactly where he's supposed to be. With Yaakov Meir Shechter, Shlita says that wherever a person has fallen to, if they've fallen, it's because that's where their mission is to pick the sparks back up from. Wherever a person is, you could say, well, Baruch Hashem, that wasn't my job, because I would have wanted to do that. Or maybe I wouldn't have even been able to do that. But Hashem has this soul, and Hashem has decided that this soul can do what this soul is supposed to do. And so I'm going to do whatever I can to reach out and help that soul where they are, whilst I'm not going to try and make that person into me. I'm going to remember the words of the Kotzka. If you're you because I'm I, if anything that I am is going to be in some way negatively influencing or coercing or trying to impose itself on who you are, then you stop being you. You stop being a shadow of me, and that's not what I want. That's not what Hashem wants. And if I'm I because you're you, if in some way the way that I'm connecting with you allows you to try and make me into your shadow, if in some way your influence on me is going to take me away from who I'm supposed to be, it's going to affect my capacity to fulfill my mission, then I'm not me. And Hashem needs me to be me, just like Hashem needs you to be you. So when I gave Leah a title of what I would like to be able to share today, I told her, okay, let's come up with 7 ways to Achdut, 7 ways that we can practice daily a unity that we can do for ourselves and for other people. So number 1 is recognizing we really are the same. There's so much sameness that we could find in every single other Yid. And there's so much difference. There's so much that's new and fresh and sometimes quirky. And we can learn so much from the way that other people think about things and view things. Because if I am only stuck in my own thought processes and I'm only stuck in my own one look, I'm going to have a very boring life. I'm never going to learn anything from anyone. But if I can find that balance between newness and sameness, that and find that with my curiosity in other people, so that appreciating the similarity between us and then appreciating the difference between us, that's going to be a beautiful balance. So those are 2 things. But then the next 2 things are going to be, I'm not going to affect you in such a way that it would change you from being you. I don't want to stop you being you. I want to appreciate the beauty of who you are. I want to approach you with a curiosity about who you are. Wow. Yeah, you think like that? That is so interesting, because I never thought that. I didn't realize, wow, what an amazing way to think. And then it's even nicer if, after I've appreciated your way of thinking, if you could say, well, what do you think about that? And if I can be safe to share, well, this is how I think about it, and I'm coming from my experience, I'm coming from my the exposure to the teachers and thinkers that I've been exposed to. And then somehow we can either blend or we can agree not to blend. We can hear each other respectfully. And after we've had whatever kind of interaction that we've had, you go away being you and I go away being me. But both of us are enriched from having had that interaction, rather than one of us walking away saying, well, what just happened? Did that person just try and make me into something that I'm not? Or did they try and take away something that I am? Did they invalidate something about me? Did I invalidate something about them? Did something that I say make them question themselves? Was I somehow the voice of a Malik for that other person? As our Chachamim teach us, that the voice of a Malik echoes through history, the voice of doubting ourselves, doubting our contribution, doubting that we, as the unique person that I am, has some kind of value to give. You're nothing. Shouldn't have anything to do with you. Just like Amalek attacked when we were weak on the way out of Mitzrayim, and Amalek came in at that moment where we were, wow, Misais Alamina Midbar, it says in Shirashim, who is this nation coming out of the desert? My gosh, what a nation. The world was standing agog at this shining bright nation. And Amalek said, yeah, they're not so great. They're not so good. Look what I could do to them. And that's the voice of a mind that speaks within all of us. Like there's this neshama inside us all that says, wow, look what I am. I can do mitzvahs. I can affect the world. I can do so many things. And so can every other Yid, all of us. We together, we can do so much. I can, and you can. And there's so much incredible power with us, especially when you and I together, when we join forces, we can be amazing. And then Amalek comes and says, Nech, you're not so great. You can't do anything. Nothing. Your voice doesn't make a difference. Your actions don't make a difference. And so when we allow somebody else to make us what we're not, or to when we allow somebody else's voice, when someone says to us, be quiet, or they say something that invalidates our way of thinking or our experience, we're like, wait a minute, but that was my experience, but that is what I think, and doesn't have any value, and we go away questioning ourselves. So it's taken away something from who we are. But and so and we don't want to do that for other people as well. We don't want to be that voice, as the Kotzker says, that if you're you because I am I. If you think that you have to put on an act when you're around me, or if you think that you can't be your whole self when you're with me, then who am I? What kind of person am I? There's the self, the whole self, and nothing but the self. So if I can be myself, that's great. That's already one. That's one start. That I could be authentic about who I am. But if I can be my whole self, can I actually dare to reveal parts of myself that are, maybe slightly different, that are individual to me? Is it a safe world? Are these safe people, where I could actually reveal my unique self? Because everybody of us has a unique self. And so when we're curious about other people, and when we are receptive to who they are and not judgmental, then we actually allow the person to be their whole self. We allow another person to bring out the unique aspects of who they are. If we're only about sameness and we don't value the variety, that balance, if we don't value the variety, then everybody's going to feel, well, I have to only show the same parts of myself. I can't bring out that other part of myself that's really so unique, and possibly is actually the part of me that is really, that my mission is to fulfill this unique part of myself. And then if I demand that people be so the same, then people may feel they can't actually be authentically themselves, that they actually have to kind of add on and be something that they're not. So when we say nothing but the self, they might be doing things that are not the self, really, because they think that everybody else expects them to be something that they're not. Because this view of sameness is so, all is the imperative that we all have to toe the line to, that we all have to be exactly the same. And that's not what Hashem wants us to be. Clearly, Hashem has created us to be different. If the Arizal says that from the beginning of time until the end of history, nobody can fulfill that which somebody else has come into the world to do, that means that we have to be different in order to fulfill that mission. If Yaakov Meir Shechter says that wherever we are, at that particular place, that's because that's where the sparks are that we have to lift up. That means that nobody else can lift up those sparks that particular person needs to lift up. And so we cannot judge a person by their situation, because their situation has been programmed by their mission. So every single individual has so much inside them. There's their whole genuine self. And then we don't want them to be ingenuine. We don't want them to have to feel around us that they have to pretend to be something that they're not, because that again makes them feel not good enough. I'm not good enough just as I am. I have to add all this other stuff on in order to please, in order to be what you think that I should be. So let's try and be people who are curious and receptive to other people, so that we recognize the difference and the sameness about other people. That's 1 and 2. But then that we can help them, that we can say, you be you. That I'm the kind of person that I want you to be able to be you when you're near me. That nothing that in the interaction that I'm going to have with you is going to be anything less than respectful and kind and receptive to who you are and curious about who you are. And it's not that, well, you be you because I am I, that when you're around me, you're going to be this, or you're not going to be that you're going to watch yourself very carefully. That's not who we want to be. And we also want to choose for ourselves those kinds of relationships and interactions where I'm also going to feel that I'm allowed to be me, because I'm me and not because you're you. That you, whoever you are not going to come at me with your demands of who I am. And this kind of reciprocity in a relationship, that not only are you not you because I am I, but also I'm not I because you're because of who you are. That I'm I because I'm I. That I am who I am. And my I have integrity to myself, not because of who you are, but because of who I am. And I'm not going to add on to the who I am for you. I'm not going to take away from who I am because of you. And you're not going to do the same either. I'm not going to expect you to be what you're not. And I'm not going to expect you to not be who you are. So what happens when there are parts of another person that we don't appreciate so much? What do we do about that? And the answer is, first of all, we recognize, wow, well, Hashem created this. Hashem created this person. This person has a mission. And the essential element of whether I can have a relationship with this person is actually, are they able to engage in a mutually respectful relationship? Are they able to also look at me and say, well, you know what, lady, there are also things about you that aren't so great, but you know what? I can be curious about them, and I can, accept them for who you are, and I can say, well, this is just a package deal. And the fact that you can never remember a number straight, that doesn't bother me so much, because you know what? It's about being respectful about who you are and curious about who you are. And there's so much good that whatever doesn't add up doesn't really shake the balance. If you can engage in that respectful, kind, curious, again, responsive relationship where there's mutual respect, where there's a give and take, where I'm going to say, yeah, you're you because you're you. You're really interesting. And I'm interested and curious about who you are and where you're coming from. And then you're going to say back to me, yeah, and I want to hear about you too. Then we can deal with the fact that there are, you know what, there are parts that are going to be different. And there are parts that are not going to be so easy. But because I'm interested in you, we're going to create workarounds. We're going to be able to deal with it. So unity is about recognizing we're enough the same that we can appreciate our differences. We are so the same. And yeah, we are so different. That's what makes life interesting. That's what makes life exciting. And we're going to approach our differences and our similarities with respect and with a mutual sense of wonder, really. Wonder, and the opposite of the voice of Amalek, which is, wow, you're amazing. Look what a kind of amazing person you are. That's what every single person is. Everybody has this incredible power. So once we have that, once we recognize that I actually want to immerse myself in Klal Yisrael. That's what I want to do. The Torah's Office of Slonim, stories of the Avos of the Slonimer Chassidus, brings down that one of the Slonimers once asked his Rebbe on the way into Shul, Erev Yom Kippur, what do we go into Yom Kippur with? And the Rebbe motioned to his side and he said, Midyanim and Midyanim. We go in with the Yidden. We go in with this one and with this one. That's how we go into Yom Kippur. Just the way that we go into Shul, we go in with the Yidden. That Yidden aren't only other people in Shul, but literally, figuratively and literally, we go into Pesach with Yidden. We go in with Klal Yisrael. There's no such thing as a Yid alone, as much as we've gone through a lot of isolation over the last year. But our sense of connection to other Yidden is integral. It's important. It's so much a vital aspect of how we serve a Kadosh Baruch Hu, that Midyanim and Midyanim together with Klal Yisrael, being a part of Klal Yisrael, holding on hand by hand to every single other Yid, that we have to link into every single other Yid. We have to be a part. That creating unity is is how we go into Yontif, is how we go into our days, is how we go into whatever it is that we're doing. And so there are many ways that we can actually create a unity in our minds. And first of all, it's about knowing how important unity is to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That Hashem wants us to be together. That Hashem loves us as a nation. There are some very beautiful aspects of the mitzvah of Shema that I wanted to share that show us how deeply Kadosh Baruch Hu wants us to connect, especially when it comes to this feeling of unity, of being together. If we think about unity, oneness, so clearly Shema is that moment of oneness together with Hashem. And actually bothered me for a very long time, the question of, if there's us and there's Hashem and we're two, how can we be one? Now, it sounds like basic, 1 + 1 = 2, it's the basic of math. Okay, so Hashem's, if we're supposed to be unified with Hashem, basically Hashem is saying 1 + 1 = 1, but that doesn't add up. And so, I guess I was saying that I don't really remember numbers. Like my daughter called me, she's making Pesach and covering her counters, and she's like, what does 15 or 150 microns mean? And I'm like, I am so sorry, I don't remember what these numbers mean. Anything that has numbers in it, I tend to just kind of forget the next day. So I'm really sorry, you have to ask somebody else. I don't remember what numbers means. But when it comes to 1 + 1, I can basically hold on to 1 + 1, okay? And 1 + 1 = 2 seems to be, a basic belief that every single child in school would know. But yet Hashem is telling us, but that 1 + 1 = unity, right? And then we have an even more complex equation, which is Klal Yisrael and Hashem and the Torah are one. 1 + 1 + 1 = 3, we would think, but no, 1 + 1 + 1 = 1. So these kinds of numbers, but they go around my mind. It's a bit of a funny mind to be in, but that's my mind. And so I've been thinking about this for a long time, and it really did bother me. I just trying to think, how could it be? 1 + 1, we're here and we want to be united with Hashem, but we're still separate. And why does it make a difference? Okay, why does it make a difference? Because there's a different feeling of being two. There's the feeling of being apart, and then there's the feeling of being together. Like when we feel close to somebody that we love, when we feel close and are very united with that person, there's a different feeling than when we're feeling that we're two and we're far apart. We've been experiencing this over the last year, right? We've probably gone through the experience of being far away from somebody that we want to be close to, and we miss them. And then when we're finally together with them, when you can finally hug your grandchild again, it's a wonderful feeling. So there's a difference of feeling we're together or we're feeling apart. So if we're feeling apart from Hashem, if we feel, I just don't feel like, I don't feel that unity, I feel two, we're two. So how can two become one? Again, this was bothering me for a long time. And then I picked up a sefer by Rav Aryeh Kaplan that I'm sure I read many years ago. I picked up to read again. And Rav Aryeh Kaplan was obviously bothered by the same question. And he's a physicist. So I felt, first of all, a bit validated by the fact that he also had that same question. It wasn't only me that can't do math who was bothered by this question, but Rav Aryeh Kaplan was also bothered by this question. And he said that the answer is very simple. He said Hashem created logic. Hashem created math. And so if the one who created the entire world, who is above everything, if he could say 1 + 1 = 1, then above the physical nature of this world, it does, even if we don't understand how that can be. And so when we talk about being different, that's the two. And when we talk about the aspects of ourselves that are the same, that's the one. And it doesn't make sense and it doesn't add up all the time. And sometimes we'll be in the two and sometimes we'll be in the one, just as sometimes we feel close to Hashem and sometimes we feel distant. As Yemei Ahava and Yemei Sina, days of love where everything seems to flow, we're in unity. And days of when we're in discord, where it just doesn't seem to be adding up. And those are aspects of life that we need to flow through. But Hashem, who is above it all, Hashem can make it that 1 + 1 + 1 = 1, that we are actually all one. And so that unity of Hashem Echad is also our unity. It's also our unity because within each one of us is a chelek Eloka Mimal, is a piece of the one above. And so there is, to a degree, there is a place within every one of us that is all one. We are all one. We all share one neshama. That the Talmud Devorah very clearly, Rav Moshe Cordovero says in the different midos Mikel Kamecha, that in the midah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tashuv Hey, that when we return to Hashem, the Hey represents the fact that we're all one. Okay, that every neshama, we're all a chelek, we're all a piece of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And so even though we experience ourselves as being two, but we really are one. And it doesn't make sense, it doesn't add up, but in some place, Hashem, who is above math, who is above physics, who is above numbers, Hashem has made it that we are one. So in the Siddur of the Matok Midvash, okay, that's from Rav Frisch. He brings down from the Me'ain HaChachma. He says, before we say Kriya Shema, again, that moment of unity, before we say Kriya Shema, when you say Kriya Shema, you should intend in your mind to include yourself with all of those who unify Hashem's name. So this might seem like some esoteric kind of piece of Jewish philosophy, but actually, what we're saying is 1 + 1 = 1. That when I intend in my mind to include myself with all of Klal Yisrael, then I can, when I intend to include myself in all of those who unify Hashem, then I can actually receive from those greatest people, those who know how to unify themselves with Hashem, those whose minds and souls are filled with the unity of Hashem. When I decide in my small mind to unify myself in my mind and just say, okay, I want to opt in. I want to include myself. There's this great circle of the greatest souls of Klal Yisrael, and they're all there. And I don't even have to know who they are. I don't even have to be able to pick them out in a crowd. I don't have to follow them on Facebook or have their email address. But in my mind, I can intend, okay, I'm including myself right now with all of those who know how to unify themselves with Hashem. I'm holding on to their coattails, and I'm part of that circle that does that. I now am there. As the Baal Shem Tov says, wherever we are in our minds, that's where we really are. Where we are in our minds, we're really there. And so when I make that decision in my mind, I am joining myself in with those who know how to be Miyachet Hashem, with all of those who do that. I can be part of that crowd. I can somehow hook my soul in and be that and do it, even though I don't know how to do it. But we're all one. And my soul knows how to do it. And so I can be part of that. I can do that. And all it takes is a split second to say, okay, yeah, I am one with all of those souls who know how to be Miyachet Hashem. And that's what Hashem wants us to be. Hashem wants us to be a part of that. That's what we learn from this instruction from the Me'ain HaChachma brought down. Okay, what we gain from that is that Hashem wants us in our minds to make that attachment with the other Yidden who know how to attach to Hashem. And there's some kind of mysterious and powerful connection that takes place when we do unify ourselves like that. And we can do that every day in a moment. Okay, and this is part of what Amalek does. Amalek says to us, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Kavana shmanzas, this is not what's this is too high. This is nothing. This is not nothing shaykh to you." But on the contrary, with a tiny moment of thought, we can actually harness nuclear power. Rav Yaakov Adis says that every Jewish soul has the power of many atom bombs. And this kind of nuclear power we can tune into in a split second. And it's only Amalek that tries to hold us back and says, "You're nothing. You can't do anything. You're just alone, one little piddly person who's never gonna, nothing is ever gonna come of you." And so he makes us doubt ourselves. And so we don't go full speed ahead and say, "Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna attach myself in my mind to all of those years who know how to be miyached Hashem, and I'm just gonna. It doesn't matter whether I know how to do it or not, but the very fact that my soul knows how to do it, my soul is attached to these people. I am attached to these people. I do it. Through simply intending to do that, I'm already an integral part of that circle, and I bring whatever I bring to that circle, and I receive whatever I receive from that circle. So that's a pretty lofty way of doing it, but we can do it. Okay. So that was that was number 5. Okay, so again, number 1 is we're so the same we can connect, and number 2 is we're so different we can be enchanted and curious about the difference between us. Number 3 is I'm going to respectfully receive who you are and not try and impact on you to make you something because of who I am. And number 4 was I'm not going to allow you to try and impact on me to make me not what I am, either to make me something else or to detract from me about who I am. So number 5 is I can have intention to connect with those that know how to be miyached. I can do that. I can do that in a moment. And number 6, when we say the words va'ahavta Hashem Elokecha, this is again from the Me'ain HaChachma brought down in the Masak Mitvash Siddur. He says, when you say those words, va'ahavta es Hashem Elokecha b'chol levavcha, love Hashem your God with all your heart. Yechav nichlol es atzmecha, you can intend to include yourself. Bein oisim hamoisrim nafsham al kiddush Hashem yisbarach. You can intend to include yourself with all of those who have given up their lives and are giving up their lives al kiddush Hashem. If we want to talk about the royalty of Klal Yisrael, if we want to talk about the greatest souls of Klal Yisrael, those that occupy the highest place, it's those that have given up their lives or are giving up their lives in some way al kiddush Hashem. And every one of us, we will say to ourselves, "Well, I don't know if I'm ready for that." Okay, none of us want to be tested, and we should never be tested. Many of us even know people who were killed al kiddush Hashem. The times of that we live in basically are reflective of every other tkuf in Jewish history, apart from the golden eras where Jews are, a fair target for so many people, whether politically or physically. And we might think, well, they're a class unto themselves. They're up there. Those martyrs of Klal Yisrael, those who've given up their lives to Klal Yisrael, they're just way beyond where we are. And yet here we're told, before we say Shema, before we unify ourselves with Hashem, and before we recognize that Hashem is one, we can do this. We can actually say, I include myself with those people who have given up their lives al kiddush Hashem from the beginning of time until the end of history. I can include my soul with them. I can, even my small self, whoever I am, I can actually, in my mind, I can say I include myself with those people who have done that. And the power of those souls that went through fire and water, those souls that have done it, those souls are accessible through this to us. Again, we don't necessarily know who they are. We've never met them. We don't have their phone number. We've never knocked on their door. Maybe we did, maybe we didn't, okay? But spiritually, we have access to them at that moment before we say Shema. And it only takes a second. It doesn't take more than the few seconds of saying to myself, okay, I just connect myself before I say Shema with all of those from the beginning of time, Rabbi Akiva and those 10 martyrs, and all of those who were taken in every terrorist attack, and all of those throughout history, through the Crusades, from Europe, from the beginning of time, every single Jew who gave up their life al Kiddush Hashem throughout the Holocaust. We can unite ourselves with those souls. We can receive power and strength and inspiration and devotion to Klal Yisrael. We can attach ourselves to the unity of Klal Yisrael, of the history, to those people who were able to do that in a second. And again, the voice of Amalek says, well, what's the point in that? You can't do anything. You're nothing. You don't have any business. No, we have business. And Hashem has business with us. Hashem has business with us, and we are an integral part of Klal Yisrael. Each and every one of us, we have a mission that nobody from the beginning of time until the end of history can do except for us. Only we can do that. And so we need that strength. We need the strength of all Klal Yisrael, of those who know how to be miyached Hashem, and we need the strength of all of those who know to be mekadesh Shem Shemayim. We need that strength, and we can take that strength. We can connect ourselves in with those incredibly powerful souls, so that we will receive the strength. We might not feel that we have something to contribute to all of those souls, but actually every soul of Klal Yisrael is waiting that every other soul should fulfill what it came into this world to do, because we're all one. And so even though I might think, well, what am I? Like I'm a little bit of straw. They were mighty cedars. What they did, like what do they want me around for? But if the mighty cedars are missing that sapling, if they're missing that, it's not complete. And since 1 + 1 + 1 = 1, since all of these ones all add up to 1, then that whole oneness is missing if we're not there. Each one of us has that piece that we need to bring in. And we're not our perfectly developed selves, but even as we are, we're on the road, we're on the journey, and on that journey is where we need to be. So another aspect of our unity is that we can tap into the collective power. And this is mind-blowing if we just think about it. Can we think about the collective soul power of every single Jew that ever gave up his or her life al Kiddush Hashem? Can you imagine what that collective power must be like? And we can join into that spiritual power in a second, because our souls are already united. And it's just like a switch on, just like an electric switch. It takes less than a second to switch that on. We switch that on by cognizance, by recognizing, yeah, I'm also part of that. And so are you. And so is everybody on this virtual meeting right now, whose names I can see. And it's so beautiful to see everybody here. Okay? It's so beautiful to see everybody. Every one of you is tuned into that incredible power source just by thinking. Our thought is the connection. So before we say Shema, we can connect to those who know how to be miyached Hashem, those who know how to do this and love Hashem. We can tune into those who know how to, who've given up their lives for Kadosh Baruch Hu. And in addition, when we say, one second. We could also, and the last one is when we say Shema Yisrael, we actually have our intention to connect ourselves with all of those who love Hashem. Those of us, those in Klal Yisrael know how to love Hashem, know how to do that. There was a young woman who had quite a difficult life. She came from quite a difficult, challenging family of origin. And it took her a long time until she found her zivug when she got married. And after she got, we were in touch for a while before she got married. Baruch Hashem, she got married, and then about a year later, she contacted me, and she's like, "It's not working." We spoke a bit. She spoke to many different people. She reached out to so many different people to try and get help. They went together, they went separately, and ultimately, Gedolim told her that she should get divorced, and so she found herself in her early 30s, divorced. And I had a conversation with her shortly after that. And it was just a private conversation. It wasn't in class or anything. And she was telling me how she loves Hashem so much. I questioned her. I said, how are you saying that you love Hashem so much and that he loves you? Right? She said, yeah, Hashem loves me so much. And she said, I love Hashem so much, and I'm not going to change even a little bit of my mitzvahs. I'm going to hold on to Hashem, and no matter what happens. But she says, I sometimes see women who have a challenge and they go down in their mitzvah observance. She says, but I'm not going to do anything like that because I know Hashem loves me. She was really strong and passionate about this. So I'm like, where are you getting this from? Like, how are you holding on like that? Where do you see Hashem loves you so much? I mean, you've been through a lot. And so she says, you have no idea. She says, I've been surrounded by so much help. So many people have helped me. So many people have come through for me. I felt Hashem surrounding me constantly. Hashem didn't let me down, and I'm not going to let him down. I'm not going to loosen my grasp on Hashem even a tiny bit, no matter what it was. This is a young woman of our generation who's been through a challenge, and as far as I know, she's not yet remarried, and she's struggling, but that doesn't mean Hashem doesn't love me. It doesn't mean I'm not going to love Hashem. On the contrary, she is the living embodiment of the chassid brought down in the Orchos Tzadikim that the Beis Aaron brings down that this Yid, he was alone, and he was poor, and he was abandoned in a hut in the outskirts of town, and he says with his heart fully open to Kadosh Baruch Hu, he says, even if you would burn down my house and take away everything I have, he says, I would only love you more. And we think about these kinds of people. We think there are previous generations that don't exist anymore, but they exist all around us. This is this simple, apparently simple Jewish woman, but she knows how to say, no matter what I'm going through, I love Hashem, and it may be challenging, it may be difficult, but I find Hashem everywhere, and I attach to Hashem. And so when this is a woman who knows how to love Hashem. So we witness these people. These people are in Klal Yisrael, and when we take a moment, when we say Shema, it doesn't have to be more than that. Doing a little bit every day adds up. When we hook in to the entirety of Klal Yisrael, when we say Shema, we hook into those who are most nefesh to Klal Yisrael for Hashem. We hook into those who know how to be meyached, who know how to make one Hashem. We hook into those who know how to love Hashem, as these people do, no matter what is going on. Then we're part of that. We're part of the difference of Klal Yisrael. We're part of what's the same in Klal Yisrael. We are valuing every other Yid and their contribution to the mission of Klal Yisrael that's going to be accomplished throughout time, from the beginning of time until the end of history. And we are going to be respectful of every other person because they're a part of the mission. They're part of Klal Yisrael. And we're also not going to let them take away my part of my mission. And spiritually, powerfully, we're going to hook into this mind-blowing power plant that is Klal Yisrael, but not only from today, from the beginning of time until the end of history, we can hook into all of them. And that's a massive power that we are going to draw strength from, so that when we go into Yontif, wherever we are, whether we're together with other people or whether we need to be alone, whatever state we're in, when we go into, we're going mityenim, we're going with Klal Yisrael into Seder night, into Yontif, and into whatever it is that we're going to go into. And I am so thrilled to have been together with all of you today. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you to Devora, and to Leah for inviting me. If anybody had a question, you could type it in, or if you wanted to, before you go on to the next speaker. I'm happy if there's a question. Thank you, Leah. Bye. Oh, bye.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And we're going on a short break for the next 10 minutes. And we will stick around, go get your coffee, go get another cookie. And we will be right back in 10 minutes with our next speaker, which is Golshevsky.